students and other viewers. This is ETETA TV from Morogoro, Tanzania. In front of you is Madam Jane Mkini, a history teacher. Today's lesson I'll be presenting to you on how to solve different questions from CSEE question number 3. And today's paper will be on 2021, and the question had 60 items that required the candidates to supply brief answers. The question asked as follows: briefly answer the following questions. How did the establishment of colonialism lead to the collapse of Buganda kingdoms? That was Roman 1. And Roman 2, differentiate between nomadic pastoralism and sedentary pastoralism. Roman 3, why did the nature of colonial economy in Portuguese colonies force Africans in those countries to use gun in demanding their political independence? Roman 4, why did the Germans cease to rule Tanganyika in 1919? Roman 5, what caused the great economic depression of the 1920s to spread worldwide? And Roman 6, why did Idi Amin's seizure of power in Uganda lead it to the collapse of the former East African community? Okay, now this question, the candidate should answer it shortly, briefly. Explanation should be given under these answers. Now, mode of answering the Roman number 1, I'm going to remind you the needs of the question or the demands of the question that states, the item required the candidates to provide or explain short notes on the establishment of colonialism towards the decline of Buganda kingdom. Establishment of colonialism is among the factors for the fall of Buganda kingdoms. Now, the candidate required to explain on the Buganda Agreement of 19,000, which allowed British governors to control Buganda, whereby under this agreement, Kabaka Mwanga submitted to British control and became part of the British protectorate. The kingdom was no longer free. This reduced the power of Kabaka and thus led to the decline of this Buganda kingdom. The item number 2 demanded the candidate to distinguish between nomadic pastoralism and sedentary pastoralism. Sedentary and nomadic pastoralism are the types of pastoralism found in agriculture, whereby this pastoralism is the type of agriculture among those types of agriculture, as we historians know this. Nomadic pastoralism is the movement of pastoralists from one place to another in search for water and pastures for their livestock. Example of nomadic pastoral societies are the Karamojong of northern Uganda and Maasai of Tanzania and Kenya. While sedentary pastoralism is the pastoralists did not move. Instead, they settled in one place and grazed their animals. They kept few animals than nomadic who owned big herds. Example of those sedentary pastoralists are the Sukuma from Tanzania. Item number 3 demanded the candidates to shortly explain on the reasons for the armed struggle in Portuguese colonies towards the Africans' independence. Meanwhile, why those Portuguese colonies attained their independence through armed struggle. Among the reasons for the armed struggle, the Portuguese believed that Africans had no unit, had no military support, as well as banning and killing of political leaders. For example, Edward Mondrane of Frelimo was killed by those Portuguese. The item number 4 demanded the candidates to explain on the reasons for the German to stop ruling Tanganyika in 1919. Since Germany was among the members of Triple Alliance, she was defeated by Triple Entente Hence, all her colonies were taken from German to put under mandatory territory in the British, including Tanganyika. Item number 5, this demanded the candidates to shortly explain the reasons for the Great Economic Depression of the 1920s to spread worldwide. Among the causes of the Great Economic Depression were overproduction, misdistribution of income, as well as introduction of tariff barriers system in different parts of the world. And the last item under this question, it was the item number 6, whereby it demanded the candidate to state on why Idi Amini's power in Uganda was among the reasons for the collapse of former East African community. As we all know that the former East African community comprises of 3 countries, namely Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda. Now, why Idi Amini Dada was the reason for this collapse of the East African community, I mean former East African community? President Julius Kambarage Nyerere of Tanzania refused to sit in one table with Idi Amin and discuss matters concerning the community due to Idi Amin's dictatorship. The uprising of political boundaries over Kagera between Tanzania and Uganda also was the reason, but also Idi Amin's leadership in Uganda was dictatorial in nature, thus made the Ugandans to suffer a lot in terms of political, social, and economic matters. This is the end of the question number 3. Now, the students were required to answer it very shortly, not writing an essay question as most of them are doing. It demands very short explanation as I did it. Thank you for listening.